Chapter 11. Natural Phenomena. Quick Field Focus. Lightning, a brief story. Electric charges. Charging an object. Lightning. Lightning conductors. Safety measures during lightning. Earthquakes. Causes of earthquakes. Protection against earthquakes. In previous classes you learnt about cyclones and thunderstorms. Now we will discuss about two other important natural phenomena which affect human life. One of these is lightning and the other is earthquake. Lightning is one of the most beautiful but deadly displays in nature. Beyond its powerful beauty, lightning presents science with one of its greatest logical mysteries. It is common knowledge that lightning is generated in electrically charged storm systems, but the method of cloud charging still remains elusive. Let us discuss about these phenomena in detail. Lightning, a brief story. Benjamin Franklin in 1752 observed a miraculous phenomenon when he was flying a kite during lightning and thunderstorm. He attached a kite to a silk string and tied an iron key at the other end. He tied a thin metal wire from the key and inserted it into a Leyden jar which is used for storing electric charge. He attached a silk ribbon with the key. Benjamin flew the kite by holding onto the silk ribbon. After some time, when he brought his knuckles near the key, he saw an electric spark between the key and his knuckles. Electricity from the clouds passed through the string to the keys, his knuckles and finally to the earth. Franklin's experiment showed that lightning was static electricity. He put forth the idea that every object has a few amount of electricity that can be transferred from one object to the other when two objects are in close contact, as when they are rubbed together. Benjamin Franklin was the first to call these charges positive and negative electric charges. Ancient Greeks discovered a strange property of amber. They found that when it is rubbed with a cloth, it can attract nearby bits of paper or straw. William Gilbert, who was the physician of Queen Elizabeth I, who discovered in 1600 that things such as glass, diamond, sulfur and wax when rubbed with a cloth showed the same properties as amber. He called these things electrics, which comes from the Latin word electrum, meaning amber. Charles François de Sistine de Fay, a gardener of the King of France in 1737, found that charged pieces of glass attracted other amber-like objects but repelled other glass-like objects. He had discovered two forces of electricity, positive and negative. He called them vitreous, for glass-like objects, and resinous, for amber-like objects. When two bodies are rubbed against each other, both of them acquire some charge. Such bodies are called charged bodies. Take two glass rods and rub them with silk cloth. Let us perform an activity to see what happens when we bring two such glass rods closer to each other. Activity 1. To show that like charges repel each other, take two glass rods and rub them with a piece of silk cloth. Suspend one rod with a silk thread to a stand. Bring the other glass rod near it. You will observe that the suspended glass rod moves away from the other glass rod that you have hold. Recall what you have learnt about charges. Like charges repel while unlike charge attract each other. It is obvious that glass rod when rubbed with silk acquire same type of charge. So they repel each other. If the same activity is conducted using ebonite rods which are rubbed with fur, they also repel each other. But what happens if we bring a glass rod rubbed with silk near the ebonite rod rubbed with fur? Let us perform the following activity to see what happens when different charges are brought closer. The above activity shows that there are two types of charges. Conventionally, the charge acquired by glass rod when it is rubbed with silk is called positive charge. Thus, the charge acquired by ebonite rod when it is rubbed with fur is called negative charge. Activity 2. To show that unlike charges attract each other, take a glass rod and rub it with silk cloth. Suspend it with a silk thread. Take an ebonite rod and rub it with fur. Bring this ebonite rod near the suspended, charged glass rod. You will observe that the suspended glass rod gets attracted towards the ebonite rod. The first thing that we conclude from this activity is that the charge on both rods are not of same nature. The second thing, they have opposite or unlike charges as they attract each other. Now you can check which type of charge does an object have by first bringing the ebonite rod rubbed with fur closer to it. Another interesting thing you can see is the charges generated by rubbing do not move. So such charges are called static charges. When charges move, they constitute an electric current. Charging an object. An electrically neutral object can be charged in three ways: a. By rubbing, b. By conduction, c. By induction. A. Charging by rubbing. An object can be charged easily by rubbing with the other body. Take a plastic scale or a comb and rub it against your dry hair. 8 to 10 times. Keep small pieces of paper on a table. Bring the freshly rubbed comb near the pieces of paper. You will see that the pieces of paper get attracted to the comb. It happens because the comb gets charged. Let us perform an activity to charge some objects by rubbing them with different objects. Activity 3. Charging objects by rubbing. Take an eraser, an inflated balloon, plastic scale, ebonite rod, glass rod, and a metal rod. Rub these objects with different materials as indicated in the table below. Bring them close to small pieces of paper and observe whether they attract the small pieces of papers or not. Fill in the table given below. Serial number. Object. Rubbed with. Attract. Does not attract paper. Charged. Neutral. 1. Eraser. Sweater. 2. Balloon. Silk cloth. Dry hair. Sweater. Yes. Charged. 3. Ebonite rod sweater. 4. Glass rod silk cloth. 5. Metal rod polythene bag. 6. Plastic scale dry hair, sweater. B. Charging by conduction. When a charged object is touched with an uncharged object, the electric charge flows from the charged object to the uncharged object. By this, the object attains the same charge as the charged body. This method of charging a body is called charging by conduction. C. Charging by induction. Induction is an interesting method of charging a body. If a charged object is brought close to an uncharged object, the charged object induces the opposite charge on the uncharged object. This method of transfer of charge is called induction. Let us perform an activity to show the induction of charges. Activity 4. To show charge transfer by induction. Charge a plastic comb by rubbing it with your dry hair. Open a tap, let the water run down in a very slow and steady vertical stream. Bring the charged comb near the water stream. You will observe that the stream of water bends towards the comb. This happens due to attraction of charge present on the comb on the running stream of the water. Transfer of charge. Electric charge can be transferred to a neutral object through a metal conductor. A gold leaf electroscope is used to detect and measure charge, which is based on the principle of conduction of charges. It consists of a brass rod fitted in a glass jar through a rubber stopper. A brass disc is fitted at the top of the brass rod. The lower end of the brass rod that lies inside the beaker has two thin gold leaves hanging parallel to each other. The lower inner sides of the glass jar has a metal foil, which increases the sensitivity of the electroscope. Activity 5. To show transfer of charge from a charged object to an uncharged object using a gold leaf electroscope. Take a gold leaf electroscope. Take a plastic scale or glass rod and rub it with a silk cloth so that it gets positively charged. Bring the charged scale or glass rod near the brass disc of the electroscope and touch it. You will observe that the gold leaves inside the electroscope diverge. This happens because on touching the charged rod with the brass disc, the charge flows from the rod to the gold leaves through the brass rod. Since both the gold leaves carry the same charges, they repel and thus diverge. Next, touch the brass disc with your hand. The gold leaves converge and come back to their original position. This happens because the gold leaves lose charge to the earth through your body, as the human body is a good conductor. It is clear from the above activity that the charge on the leaves goes into the earth through your body. The leaves are then said to be discharged. The process of transfer of charges from a charged body to the earth is called earthing. Try these. Fill in the blanks. 1. Transfer of charge when a charged body does not touch the uncharged body is called charging by. 2. Electric charge from a charged object can be transferred to a neutral object through. 3. Is the process of transfer of charges from a charged body to the earth. 4. A glass rod rubbed by silk cloth is charged. 5. An ebonite rod rubbed by a piece of fur has a charge. Lighting. Recall your learning in previous classes. Hot and moist air rises and gets cooled. Cold air with water droplets and sometimes ice particles move downwards. The hot and the cold air rub against each other. Due to friction, electrostatic charges is produced in the clouds. If one part of the clouds has a negative charge, it can induce an opposite charge on the neighboring clouds. When the two oppositely charged clouds come near each other, the moist air allows the flow of electricity in the form of an electric discharge. This causes a huge amount of charges to build up in the clouds. When two such clouds come closer together due wind, the charges jump from one cloud to another through the air, resulting in the heating up the air up to 30,000 degrees Celsius, producing a bright glow of lighting. The sudden jump of electric charges through the air between two opposite charged clouds is seen as an intense spark in the sky, which is called lighting. Thus, lightning is caused by the process of electric discharge in the form of a bright light. The heat produced during the process of lightning heats up the air, which expands suddenly. This sudden expansion of air produces a disturbance in the form of vibrations through the air, producing a loud sound which is called thunder. It is interesting to know that an electric discharge can also occur between a charged cloud and the earth. Clouds have a negative charge at their base. When a charged cloud passes over a tall tree or building, it induces an opposite charge on them. The negative charge of the clouds pulls the positive charges from the tall tree or building upwards at a tremendous speed, and we say that a lightning has struck in the form of a lightning strike. A lightning strike can cause damage to life and property on the earth and can also cause fires. Lightning conductor. It is a safety device installed at the highest point on a building to protect the building from the damaging effects of lightning. Franklin was the first to suggest that a lightning rod protects a building. He proposed a theory which is often referred to as the lightning dissipation theory. According to this theory, the lightning rod on a building protects the building by preventing the lightning strike. The second theory proposed by Franklin on the operation of the lightning rod is the basis of the lightning diversion theory. This theory states that a lightning rod protects a building by providing a conductive pathway for the charge to pass to the ground. A lightning conductor consists of a metal rod with spikes at the top and a copper plate attached at the lower end, which is buried deep in the earth. It is fixed on top of tall buildings. Whenever a cloud with an electric charge passes over the building, an equal and opposite charge is built on the pointed end of the lightning conductor at the top of the building. This charge cannot be held up by the metal and all of it goes safely to the earth through the metal rod. Thus, the cloud also loses its charge. In this way, when lightning strikes the building, it flows to the earth through the metal rod of the conductor and prevents the building from getting damaged. Safety measures during lightning. Safety measures outside the house. Do not go on the terrace of any tall building. If you are in an open space and cannot find a safe place to go to, squat down on your feet together with only your feet touching the ground. Place your hands on your knees with your head between the hands. Do not stand under a tree during lightning because if the tree is hit by lightning it will also include you. Do not remain in an open space. Take shelter in a building. Take shelter in vehicle with all its doors and windows closed. The metallic frames of the vehicles act as lightning conductors and keep you safe. Do not touch the metal part of the vehicle as you may get a shock. Safety measures inside the home. Avoid using landline phones, as lightning can strike telephone cords, metal pipes and electrical wires. It is safer to use mobile phones. Do not use electrical appliances like televisions, computers etc. Do not take a shower or bath as water is an excellent conductor of electricity. Personal safety. In case an earthquake strikes and you are inside a building, follow the steps given below. Do not use a lift. If you cannot move out of the building, take shelter under a heavy table and keep your hands over your head. In case you are in bed, place a pillow over your head to protect it. Turn off the power supply. If you are inside a car or bus, stop the vehicle in an open area, away from electric poles, tall trees and buildings. Try to leave the building as soon as possible. Move to an open area, but keep away from electric poles, trees, signboards etc., as they could fall on you. Try these. Write true or false. 1. The sudden contraction of air produces thunder. 2. A lightning conductor is fixed on short buildings. 3. It is safe to stand under a tree when it is lightning. 4. Do not use electrical appliances when it is lightning. 5. Franklin's experiment showed that lightning was static electricity. 6. Lightning is caused by the process of electric discharge in the form of bright light. Earthquake's mantle. Sudden shaking of the Earth's crust is called earthquake. It is one of the most deadliest natural phenomenon. It causes great danger to life and property. At present our technology is well developed and we can predict when disasters like cyclones and thunderstorms may occur, but earthquakes are still unpredictable. To understand the reason of earthquakes, let us first learn about the various layers of the earth. Layers of the earth. The earth has three layers: crust, mantle and core. A. Crust. Crust is the outermost layer of the earth that is about 5 to 70 kilometers thick under the land and 6 to 11 kilometers thick at the ocean floor. B. Mantle. This layer under the crust and extends up to the depth of 2,900 kilometers. It consists of semi-solid rocks, iron, magnesium and calcium. C. Core. Core is the innermost layer of the earth that lies below mantle and extends to about 6,400 km in depth. The outer core consists of iron and nickel in molten state, while the inner core is solid ball believed to be composed mainly of iron. The inner core is about 1,200 kilometers in diameter. The temperature at the center of the earth is around 4,000 degrees Celsius and the pressure here is about 3,700,000 atmosphere. The inner core, made of mostly iron, is solid because of the extremely high pressures prevailing at that depth. Causes of earthquakes. The crust and upper part of the mantle together make the lithosphere. The lithosphere is divided into many pieces called tectonic plates, which move continuously. When the tectonic plates collide, they cause disturbances in the Earth's crust. This movement of plates results in earthquakes. Movement of tectonic plates is one of the various reasons of earthquakes. Earthquakes can be caused due to movement of the tectonic plates, underground nuclear explosions, volcanic eruptions. Let us discuss about the occurrence of earthquakes due to the movement of tectonic plates. When the tectonic plates move, sometimes the edges of these plates collide with each other with force. They may get deformed, displaced, crushed or fractured. They may slide under each other or move apart. Such changes send tremors or waves through the crust, causing earthquakes. These waves are called seismic waves. The place from where an earthquake originates is called a seismic focus, and the point vertically above the focus is called epicenter. Over millions of years, the movement of tectonic plates have created weak points on the Earth's crust, which are called faults. Earthquakes are of different magnitudes. Seismograph is an instrument which detects and records the intensity of seismic waves generated by an earthquake. The characteristics of earthquake waves are visible on a screen. They are recorded by means of a free-floating pen that responds to fluctuations in the intensity of the shock waves. The pen touches a roll of paper that scrolls away slowly beneath it, recording a continuous zigzag line representing seismic shocks. The higher the peak of the zigzag, the higher the intensity of the shock wave registered. The graphical record of the intensity of seismic waves is called seismogram. The magnitude of an earthquake is measured on the Richter scale. Richter scale has markings from 0 to 9. The intensity of an earthquake on the Richter scale is as follows: 0 to 2, unnoticeable; 2 to 4, mild, causes no damage; 4 to 6, moderate; 6 to 8, severe; 8 to 9, very severe. Some major earthquakes in the Indian subcontinent. On September 30, 1993, Latur, Killari, in Maharashtra was struck by one of the most devastating earthquakes in the world. On May 22, 1997, Jabalpur in Madhya Pradesh was shaken by an earthquake of magnitude 6. On January 26, 2001, a severe earthquake occurred in Bhuj in Gujarat. Its magnitude was 7.7 on the Richter scale. On December 26, 2004, there was a severe earthquake in the Indian Ocean which caused tsunami. It caused tremendous loss of life and property in and around the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. After effects of earthquakes, earthquakes can cause lots damage to life and property. Some after effects of earthquakes are: in mountainous regions, earthquakes can cause landslides. It causes loss of life, as people get buried under the debris of collapsed structures. Undersea earthquakes are called tsunamis. A tsunami is a series of high waves that cause large-scale destruction and damage to life and property in the coastal areas. An earthquake caused destruction to man-made structures like roads, bridges, dams. Buildings and apartments also collapse. Ground surface may get deformed due to an earthquake. Electric poles, telephone lines and trees can be uprooted. Sparking from electrical poles can cause fires. Protection against earthquakes. Cracks in the walls and ceilings should be repaired. Cupboards, shelves, cabinets etc. should be fixed firmly on the walls, so that they do not fall easily. Doors installed in buildings should open outwards, to ensure that they open easily. While construction buildings and houses, architects and civil engineers should keep in mind how to minimize the effects of earthquakes on the structure. In highly seismic areas, light materials like timber or mud should be used for construction. The roofs should be as light as possible. Firefighting equipments in buildings should be kept handy and in working condition. Try these. Choose the right word to make the sentences correct. 1. The place where an earthquake originates is called focus, epicenter. 2. Seismograph. Seismogram is an instrument to record the intensity of seismic waves. 3. Earthquakes cause landslides in plains, mountains. 4. Use the life stairs to leave the building when an earthquake occurs. 5. The crust, core is the outermost layer of the earth. 6. Earthquakes occur due to the movement of tectonic plates, lithosphere. Quick recap. Lightning conductors are installed on tall buildings to protect them from lightning. The earth has 3 layers: crust, mantle and core. The lithosphere is divided into many fragments called tectonic plates. The collision of tectonic plates causes earthquakes, volcanic eruptions etc. The point where an earthquake originates is called seismic focus. The point vertically above the focus is called epicenter. The magnitude of an earthquake can be measured on the Richter scale. Earthquakes of high intensity can cause damage to life and property. We need to take certain precautions to minimize the damage caused by earthquakes. A body can be charged by rubbing, induction and conduction. Like charges repel and unlike charges attract each other. An electroscope is a device used to detect and measure electric charge. It is based on the principle of charging by conduction. Earthing is the process of transfer of charges from a charged object to the earth. When negative and positive charges in clouds meet each other, lightning is produced.